Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome to 7th Street.
Now, I don't know what pleasure you get out of this, but believe me, it is going to stop.
Is there anything better than a horror comedy anthology?
I calls them as I sees them.
No. The answer is no. No, there isn't. Some of my favorite movies fit right into that category. Twilight Zone the movie, Creepshow, Body Bags. But one that flies under most people's radar is an absurd little gem called The Willies.
Monster indeed. You probably made this mess yourself. Young man, when I am speaking to you, I want you to look at me. What are you staring at?
The Willies is the story of two young brothers and their cousin, played by Sean Astin, trying to frighten each other by telling ghost stories while they're camping. The stories that they tell include a woman eating a deep-fried rat at a local fast food restaurant, a man dying of fright on a cursed carnival ride, and a poodle meeting its gooey end from a microwave.
There we go. You're all done.
And that's just the pre-title sequence. There are really only two main stories to this anthology, the first of which involves a little kid dealing with bullies and a monster in the bathroom of his local elementary school. The second story centers around teenage bully Gordy Belcher and his peculiar interest in torturing bugs. If horror movies have taught me anything, it's that bullies usually get their comeuppance in the worst way. The interesting thing about The Willies is the really weird vibe that it has. It was obviously made for kids and a younger audience, but there are all these moments that really push it.
Gordy Belcher, you lard ass.
The Willies is the first and only film to be directed by Brian Peck, who you may recognize as Scuzz from Return of the Living Dead. In fact, James Karen and Clu Gulager both make appearances, making this film a virtual Return of the Living Dead reunion.
Say, you know, this ain't a public hanging. You kids ought to be back in your classes. See what I said? I said, skedaddle! Skedaddle!
The story about the monster in the bathroom was actually a short film that was directed by Brian Peck way back in 1985. He later decided to fill in the other stories and release it as an anthology in 1990. Brian Peck actually makes a hilarious cameo as a news reporter for Korn. There's also a lot of these little inside jokes that are flying around, one of which is a nod to the Goonies.
No, wait a minute. This isn't that dumb story about the time you and your friends found that pirate ship in an old cave? No, it's better than that.
You know, this line always makes me laugh. Sean Astin's character's name is Michael in this and in the Goonies, which implies that the Willies and the Goonies exist in the same universe.
Besides, Michael just made all of that up. I wish I did. My dad told me that story and it happened. I swear to God.
Fun fact, that's Dana Ashbrook, who you may recognize from Twin Peaks, but he was also in Return of the Living Dead 2 with James Karen and Brian Peck.
To go.
Anthology movies hold a special place in my heart. If you follow my filmmaking career with any degree of regularity, you would probably know that. The Willies is an example of a well-crafted, generally entertaining film. All things considered, it's pretty amazing that they were able to turn out the quality of movie that they did. The Willies features a well-known, veteran cast, a memorable little synth track, and some really decent effects. Ever since I first saw this film, I wondered why it didn't have a bigger cult following. It certainly has all the elements to be at least Troll 2 status. And any movie that features James Karen should leave you asking yourself, why doesn't anyone reference this film?
Work a John on the Delaware like a one. And what do you do, John? I push it, push it, push.